And I still do, but I can't sit for a year and watch this become a political football and tie up capital. So it's just a portfolio management decision. I think there are going to be other opportunities that have more near-term upside while this Netflix thing works its way through the meat grinder in Washington. I want everyone to understand, I think Netflix right now represents a tremendous value, but I don't think the stock will be able to get out of its own way. The thing to keep in mind here is we don't know if an over-the-top bid comes. We don't know what Republicans are going to want to talk about as it pertains to this. We don't know what the Democrats will want to talk about. There's a lot of antitrust. There's a big antitrust contingent in both parties for different reasons. Then, of course, there's the White House. This would be the second largest merger or acquisition in the post-pandemic period worldwide, other than Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific, the railroad tie-up, at $85 billion. You cannot tell me the Eye of Sauron is not going to see this thing happening and say, what does this mean for us? And keep in mind, this is media, so it probably means something. I'm not telling you they have to put The Apprentice back on the air or it's going to be something like that, but don't be surprised if this takes over a year, produced by Barron. This could take over a year. So,
yeah.
Look,
Celebrity Apprentice. That's going to be the remedy.
Yeah. Right, I have tons of MAGA Apprentice. So all I'm saying is, I think Netflix is a great value. I think it's a great deal. I actually love the deal for them, not only for them, but I love that they're keeping this out of the hands of somebody else, equally important in the streaming wars. But I can't sit here, so I kept a very small position on, and we'll see what happens. We'll watch it for the next 12 to 18 months to see how this goes.
I thought some of the, Kev, you have the stock too. I thought some of the notes from the street today about the strategic nature of the deal and how it's a departure for Netflix from how it has historically done things. Huber Research says we've had an overweight for nearly the entire time over the last 10 years, but are stepping aside. Netflix has been very successful the last 15 plus years developing its own content and has smartly stayed away from doing sizable deals. We do not see the need to change that. Baird weighs in today. Certainly a deviation from the company's historical approach, and we understand the initial investor hesitation regarding the size of this deal and the potential closing integration process, but we suspect the long-term benefits will ultimately outweigh the near-term risks. You as a shareholder have to be willing to sit for the long haul. You have to have a bigger vision, but the notion that this is historically different than what Netflix is used to doing, not unlike you might hear if Apple was to make an acquisition of some scale larger than it's ever done before, you'd probably have similar notes.
Yeah, I hope we do see that from Apple, Scott, and I'm thrilled to see it from Netflix. I'm going to take the other side of this. I think it's incredibly wonderful to see them go on the offensive. This is an IP play that if the deal were to go through, and I agree with all the notes and Josh's comments that the likelihood is pretty thin. I also think that we'll see a competitive bid from Paramount Skyworks to, a hostile bid from them to keep this deal alive. But if it did happen, you kind of think of it like the Disney deal when they bought Star Wars and when they bought Marvel. When you're talking about some of these franchises, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, the DC Universe, Harry Potter, what Netflix can do with this.
Sex and the City.
I never saw it. I think it's an amazing opportunity for this company to just take these franchises into a whole other stratosphere. So I'm excited about the deal, and I'm happy.
What do you make of Josh's move to sell 85% of his stock?
I think it's a mistake. I think I would be more of a buyer of the stock. If the deal does get blown up, the stock will go higher. And plus, the one difference between Josh and I is I can write covered calls against this. There's going to be heightened volatility now around this name, even more so
but that's why
than they were a bidder.
That's why he's bowing out in such a large way. He would agree with everything that you've said, I'm sure, on the fundamental basis of this.
Yeah.
The stock itself, the company itself, the leadership likes all of it. But you're going to be in some level in what he suggests is purgatory for the next 18 to 24 months while this whole thing plays out. And then who knows how it ends.
You don't think it's in a box? You don't think it's stuck in a box now?
It may not be accretive to the bottom line, Josh, for 2 or 3 years. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think the stock's going to sit here and just level off. And if it does for me, which is different than for you, I can still write premium against it. So it's less of a concern for me for a range-bound stock So I get what you're saying, but I would hate to be a seller at this point only to look back and say, look what happened. Look how amazing this deal turned out to be.